I'm joined by Karen Pascal, the director of The Sky Is Not the Limit, the Chris Hadfield story. And what an outstanding documentary it is. Kudos to your team, Karen.
Thank you.
For helping us put all that together. Quite the experience for you.
Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. We originally went down to Houston, and the story on Chris was going to be a part of a documentary called Made in Canada. But when we got there, your son Chris was our DOP, and Daryl Kingdon and myself, we were gobsmacked. We just loved NASA. And we realized right away with the interview that we had with Chris Hadfield that we had much more than just a little report. This is a character that's bigger than life, and we were so honored. And I remember calling and saying, we need to make this a full documentary. And you said yes, which
Absolutely.
was great.
Well, you know, in a year where we're highlighting outstanding Canadians in our Canada Heart and Soul series, Chris Hadfield simply had to be a part of that, because he personifies in so many ways, you know, a great Canadian. And he's on a world stage. I mean, he's above the world, really.
You know, it's interesting, but our timing was wonderful, but I think Chris exceeded everybody's expectations. I mean, just amazing what he did.
Without further delay, let's take a little look at The Sky Is Not the Limit, the Chris Hadfield story.
And being in a rocket ship is amazing, and it rattles and shakes you, and it's hugely powerful, and it's an immense experience, but you're inside a rocket ship. But to be outside, to be alone in the universe, protected by nothing but a cloth spacesuit, to be holding on to your spaceship with one hand, in between the world roaring by and the universe, endless and black. A completely endless bucket of pure, darkest complexity that is there next to you the whole time. That is where you really experience what spaceflight is all about. You can see this human invention, this human time machine, this magic ship that has somehow got you to this place that's almost no one has ever been to before.
Beautiful, so eloquent, so articulate Chris is when he speaks about space. And he's become quite the online celebrity as an astronaut, has he not?
Hasn't he? His son Evan and Chris worked together, one on the ground, one in the air, and really, in a way, used the social media like no one has ever done it. I'm sure NASA in the States is envious. I know the Canadian Space Agency are so proud of him. He just grabbed the world.
Yeah.
And told a story that's full of wonder.
Well, his photos that he was sending back, his tweets, and just this ongoing dialogue with those of us, you know, grounded on the planet here, simply amazing. I love the sense of his spirit of, you know, discovery and certainly exploration. And Chris mentioned, my son Chris, after those interviews, that he says, Dad, it was like sitting in front of like a true hero adventurer. I mean, he truly was awestruck. And you can't help but be awestruck by those images in the doc. And I know we had access for the first time to some HD rendered prints from the moon landing. So it's a beautiful documentary to look at as well.
It is, and you know, we had the privilege of, I think it was the head of the Canadian Space Agency said to me that he felt it was the best interview that Chris had ever done. So there's things in there. Even his parents said, we learned things in this documentary that we didn't know about Chris. So I think that's kind of cool. I mean, wonderful. You know, but that's his choice. He's a wonderful guy, and he chooses to share. And it's really neat. It was wonderful to see all the details and how they took us along on the journey. The Soyuz journey to space is amazing. That's the launch that took him back into space.
Wow. For
this last Expedition 34-35.
Let's take a little look at that. Another clip.
It is a tremendous privilege to be part of this crew. These are good people, and we are going to go live in a place built by the world, and we have great confidence in each other and great confidence in the space station.
On Expedition 34-35, Chris is accompanied by U.S. astronaut Tom Marshburn and Russian cosmonaut Roman Romanenko. On December 19, 2012, These three squeezed into the capsule of the Soyuz to blast off for their rendezvous with the International Space Station.
Preliminary command confirmed, engines firing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Tom Marshburn, Roman Romanenko, and Chris Hadfield making their way towards the International Space Station.
You know, Karen, I'm also struck by Christopher's profound humility as he gazes at the stars, you know, amongst the stars up there. Were you struck by that as well?
Oh, I was very much so. This is a man who in a sense, has a wonderful worldview, but in the midst of it, he holds himself quite lightly. I mean, he's obviously, I remember him saying something which really struck a note with me. He said, you know, being a part of that program, you walk into a room and you're not the smartest person in the room. And that reality, because you know that somebody has to have been an amazing achiever. But I think Chris has worked very hard. I think that's what everybody respects and admires so much about him. And his eloquence, his ability to say, in a sense, to carry a conversation to the world that inspires the world. I mean, he went up there desiring to turn kids on to space and science, and he did it.
And he's certainly done that.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there's a little personal connection. This beautiful piece here was a gift from my son coming back from the interviews with Chris in Houston, was it not?
Yeah.
At the Space Center there. And it's actually signed. I think we've got a clip here from the gift shop where Chris was picking it up. There's my big boy, Chris. I don't know if you'll see the tattoo on his arm on the other side. Here he is making the selection of this beautiful hand-carved piece of the space shuttle, and then he had it signed by Tom Washburn, Chris Hadfield, and Roman Romanenko, who were the other astronauts that joined Chris on that trip into space.
Because I told you I'm from Kilbride, right?
Yeah.
And my parents went to St. George's.
Oh, yeah.
And so you were actually at the church
I was.
before your first mission there, because
Yeah.
that's where your parents go, or went, or whatever. And
yeah,
so
I've been there to give a talk.
yeah, and so he was there, and he saw that, and that's where he got onto you, and then he insisted on doing the whole doc about you and doing
nice.
that. So
So actually, that was my original connection. We were attending an Anglican church up in Milton here, and of course, Chris was raised on a farm in Milton, not far from here. That's where his parents live to this day. And Chris was visiting the church. This probably is dating back maybe 12, 15 years ago, and came into the church, and we prayed for him before he went up on that mission. And so there was a personal connection there. So for Chris to bring this back, hand-signed by some space heroes, was really delightful for me. Now, you met up with his parents, did you not, after the doc? How did they feel about it?
Oh, they have loved it. They are such delightful people, and you certainly get where that beautiful character comes from when you meet his parents, because they're the real deal too. They're very genuine and very kind and very, all the right values have been sown into this man through that family and through his brothers and sisters as well.
Amazing. Well, Karen, thank you again.